You are on a fast boat, alone. From behind, a huge gray wave the size of a building rolls toward you. Ahead, a never-ending mountain range of foam and spray. You're flying now, 20 knots or so, and the boat generates a wide white wake. But these waves are faster and soon catch up. Your muscles are always tense. You always have your hand on something. You are part of this boat. Up and down you go on this green and gray roller coaster, picking up speed, pushed by the wind, pulled by gravity. 25 knots, 30 knots. As you slide down a big wave, you brace for the impact because it can knock the wind out of you. Suddenly, water is everywhere, and the air feels as if it's full of needles, and the wind roars in your ears. But you forget all that. You forget that your hands are frozen by the 38-degree water, and you think for a split second, this is no dream, this is life. Raw and real. As the world's frontiers disappear, there remains one as elusive and dangerous as ever. A sailing voyage around the world, alone. For climbers, the summit of Mount Everest is the pinnacle of adventure. For sailors, it's a solo voyage across the Southern Ocean and around the legendary Cape Horn. A crusty American named Joshua Slocum was the first to do this in 1895 in his tiny ketch, Spray. Since then, despite advances in sailing technology, only a handful of brave men and women have accomplished this feat. In fact, more people have traveled into space than sailed around the world alone. It is the ultimate test of endurance and courage, an inward journey as much as a physical one. A chance for a sailor to find out what he or she is made of. Every 4 years, a hardy band of adventurers gather to challenge the sea and themselves in a race called simply Around Alone. The race begins and ends in the historic seaport of Charleston, South Carolina. 16 sailors from 9 nations have signed up for what promises to be one of the most competitive and dramatic races in the event's history. It's a diverse group of old salts, professional racers, and adventurers. There's a 64-year-old Japanese gas station owner who sold his business 12 years ago and devoted his life to single-handed sailing. A former professional knife thrower and boxer. An ex-British Special Forces soldier. A marine scientist. A black South African who built his boat during the dark days of apartheid. A Russian who has conquered Mount Everest and has skied to the North and South Poles.
Good luck to everybody.
Just by being here, they have accomplished something that many others have tried and failed. All here to climb their own personal not Everest. The morning of September 26th, an awakening sun brightens Charleston Harbor. Isabelle Letizier, the only woman in the race, arrives early at the marina. This will be the fourth time Isabelle has entered a solo around-the-world race. Because of her experience and tenacity, the press has dubbed her the odds-on favorite to win. Growing up in Paris, Isabelle was the fourth of 5 daughters. At age 6, her father taught her how to sail. Fascinated by the wind and waves, she eventually became a marine researcher.
When I was a child, I was really dreaming of, doing some very long trip and maybe going alone or having adventures at sea. I didn't know, of course, at that time which kind. But after I did my studies and I turned in marine engineer. So I used to work by the sea for 10 years, working with fishermen and these kind of people. That was a great job.
She took up single-handed sailing in the late 1980s and loved it so much that she quit her job in 1990 to sail full-time. In 1991, she became the first woman to complete an around-the-world single-handed race. 4 years later, in the 1994-95 race, Isabelle finished the first leg an impressive 5 days ahead of her rivals. But on the second leg, a huge rogue wave hurled her yacht forward and upside down, shearing off the cabin roof and wiping away her rig. Fortunately, Isabelle was down below when this happened. Otherwise, she would have been thrown into the icy seas. 4 days later, an Australian military helicopter airlifted her to safety. Isabelle bounced back from this disaster and has put together a highly organized and well-funded campaign for this race. Her main rival is good friend Giovanni Soldini, a scruffy Italian who punctuates the ends of his sentences with endearing giggles. With his half-shaven beard and oversized T-shirts, Soldini is an unlikely sports celebrity. But in a short time, he has become Italy's most famous sailor.
I was very bad because I didn't like the school and the way how they do that. Because in Italy, it's not at all like the education in the United States. In Italy, there is the teacher and the students is in the other side of the wall, and the student just shut up and the teacher teach you, And I was a pretty hot head, and so I have always problem. I changed 5 schools in 2 years and a half. And finally I start to work too much and I finished my high school by studying myself. And then also because, I live in a strange period in Europe was when my brothers was in the high school was, everybody was full of dream, we changed the world, this kind of stuff. And when I arrived was the beginning of '80, and was exactly the inverse situation. Everybody was just shut up and go straight and just think about money and buy a nice car and this kind of stuff. So I was really not happy with all this. And I was trying to find something else, some other way to live my life. And so sailing for me was first a way to voyage and to meet other people and to see other countries, see other stuff, and to be a little bit more free.
This is his second around-the-world race. In the last one, he finished a close second in Class 2. During the past 4 years, he has entered 14 major regattas and won 11 of them. Like Isabella Tissier, Giovanni has seen his share of trouble on the water. In 1998, he and 3 friends set off from New York to break the world record for the fastest transatlantic crossing by a monohull sailboat. Their new boat, Fila, performed brilliantly. And as they approached Europe, the record was in sight. But then they sailed into a massive wall of wind. A storm capsized the boat, and Giovanni's longtime friend and boat co-designer, Andrea Romanelli, was swept overboard and lost in the swells and spray. Giovanni was filled with despair, but when he and his damaged boat limped into a French port for repairs, it was Isabelle who met him and said, "That is the way it is for people who go to sea. You must keep sailing." Giovanni heeds her advice and vows to win the Around Alone for his lost friend Andrea. By 9 a.m., the towboats are all lined up to pull the competitors' yachts safely to the starting line. A huge spectator fleet gathers to bid them farewell as they embark on a 27,000-mile, 8-month journey. Mark Schrader is director of the race. An experienced yachtsman in his own right, he has twice sailed around the world alone, once as a competitor in the 1986 race. For the next 8 months, he will monitor the progress and safety of the sailors, working together with his management partner and close friend, Dan McConnell.
Well, Peter, just after 8 o'clock this evening, we received...
To document their voyages, each skipper carries a small remote-controlled video camera in a waterproof case. Some of the better-funded campaigns even have multiple camera systems installed throughout their boats. This allows the solo skippers to film themselves and their lives at sea. The 1998-99 Around Alone has 2 classes. Class 1 is for 51 to 60-foot yachts, with 7 competitors: Isabella Tissier and Mark Thursland representing France, the Italian Giovanni Soldini, and 2 British sailors, Mike Golding and Josh Hall, both sailing state-of-the-art yachts designed in France and hoping to break the French single-headed racing dynasty. Rounding out the class is Sebastian Riedel from Canada and Fedor Konyakov, an adventurer from Russia. Class 2 is for 40 to 50 footers and has 9 sailors. J.P. Molyneux, a U.S. resident but flying the French tricolors, Mike Garside from England, Brad Van Leeuw, George Stricker, and Robin Davey of the United States. Russia's Viktor Yazykov, Neil Peterson of South Africa, Minoru Sato from Japan, and from Down Under, Australia's Neil Hunter. Shortly after noon, the starting gun is fired, and 15 sailors begin their epic journeys. South African Neil Peterson, in his home-built 40-footer, is first across the line. And for a brief moment, one wonders if he can maintain this lead. But Giovanni Soldini and the other boats soon leave Peterson in their wakes. On the first leg, the skippers cover nearly 7,000 miles en route to Cape Town, South Africa. After a brief stopover, the skippers will battle the fearsome Southern Ocean and head toward Auckland, New Zealand. From Auckland, the fleet rounds Cape Horn on its way to the resort town of Punta del Este, Uruguay. The final leg takes them back to Charleston by the spring of 1999. Making it to the starting line is a major achievement in itself. Californian Brad Van New is the son of a successful real estate developer and says he always got what he wanted in life, until he tried to do the around alone. Both in 1990 and 1994, he failed to raise enough money to enter the race. Disappointed, he took up flying, eventually becoming a Hollywood stunt pilot and co-owner of a successful air charter business. Still, he dreamed of doing the around alone. So in 1998, he bought a used boat, borrowed money from friends, and maxed out his own credit cards. When he loaded the boat into a truck heading from California to Charleston, he wasn't sure if he could pay the driver. But at the last minute, a sponsor stepped in with a small sum, and he was on his way.
I have a great deal of support from my wife and my family and people that support and love me and want to see me succeed at what my dream is. And they've known for a long, long time this has been a dream of mine. This has been something I've been trying to do for 12, 15 years. And they want to see me do it, and that makes me feel solid inside and good inside about what I'm doing.
Viktor Yazakov's journey to the starting line is even more grueling. He sailed from his hometown in Russia more than 3 months before the race and arrived in Charleston just 3 days before the start. He is unable to leave with the fleet and spends the next 6 days getting his boat ready.
Push this.
All of the yachts in the race are equipped with sophisticated communication systems,
Push this button down.
computers with satellite hookups, radios, and other life-saving devices.
Windows 95.
Like the others, Victor has trained how to use this
This
equipment.
is the Trimble. This is the Galaxy icon. When this didn't come up at first, but when you first turn it on, you'll get this screen. And you just take your mouse over
Born in the
Galaxy.
small fishing village of Sochi on the Black Sea, Victor read Western sailing magazines as a teen and dreamed of someday sailing around the world. But there was no room for such dreams in communist Russia, and Victor soon found himself in the military fighting in Afghanistan with the feared Spetsnaz Special Forces. After the nuclear disaster in Chernobyl, he was ordered to help with the cleanup and received dangerous doses of radiation. Through all this, he held fast to his dream. 3 days after the start of the race, Victor joins the fleet, still exhausted from his voyage from Russia. During a typical day, the skippers spend hours at their computers studying weather reports, preparing meals, and fixing broken equipment. In between, they take naps. Most skippers average just 5 hours sleep per day total. Less when trouble happens.
I've been sleeping a little bit here at the nav station, but I haven't found that to be all that comfortable really. I think that the bunks are better because the boat heels over. The bunk you're laying down flat. It's just a more comfortable spot, I think. You know, I've been using this, and it's a modification we made after the Around Europe race, just moving the nav station like that, and I can put my head down and I can sleep, but it's just not that. It's not that comfy really. So again, I think I like the bunk a lot better. What I've done is use that all the time, and that is really, I live with that. And I've got like 4 or 5 of them all over the boat. And during the day I sleep with this, and it makes a huge difference really.
The first leg is a tactical minefield. Skippers must sidestep high-pressure systems and hurricanes and then find the quickest way through the doldrums. Soon after leaving Charleston, the skippers face their first big decision. Do they head east or cover to the south near the coastline of South America? Giovanni takes a gamble and goes east, while Mark Thursland and the 2 British skippers Josh Hall and Mike Golding head south, straight for Hurricane Lisa. hoping that the storm will slingshot them through the windless doldrums. At one point, Golding sails within 15 miles of the hurricane's center and nervously watches lightning bolts dance around the storm's eye. Their gamble pays off and they make good progress, but Giovanni drifts into the area of light winds. For a sailor, a day with no winds is purgatory. And as the skippers dive south towards the equator, they run into the hellish area known as the doldrums.
There's absolutely zero wind here. I mean zero, there's nothing. I mean, it's incredible. And I've been sitting here since this morning. I try to steer, but it just doesn't make any difference whether you got the autopilot or you steer, it's the same thing. So, I don't know, I'm just gonna have to wait until I get some wind. But it's frustrating.
As they flounder through the doldrums, the skippers have time to catch up on things. Time for cooking and housekeeping, and chatting with other skippers.
I will talk to you tomorrow. I will talk to you tomorrow, over. Roger, Roger. Have a good day.
Many sailors consider the camera a companion with whom they can share their thoughts and feelings.
C'avevo un barbone, mi dava un po' fastidio, era sempre fradicio. Allora ho preso le forbici e mi è venuto un raptus e mi sono fatto la barba.
Look at these guys. You ready? Yeah!
Once out of the doldrums, the fleet pushes on. Far behind the leaders, Giovanni Soldini makes a mad dash to catch up, sailing 386.9 nautical miles in one day, a new world record for a single-handed yacht. Frontrunner Mark Thursland wrestles with a broken autopilot and a disintegrating mainsail. Close behind, Isabella Tessier and Josh Hall see an opening and choose a northeasterly route toward Cape Town.
South Atlantic at 20 knots. Working our way around the South Atlantic High, about 1,900 miles away from Cape Town. We're hauling aft, man.
Mike Golding takes a more southerly approach and finds more wind. On Halloween Day, he roars into Cape Town after nearly 34 days and 19 hours at sea. He is the first British sailor to win one of the race's legs. Isabella Tessier crosses 3 hours later, followed by Mark Thursland and Josh Hall. Hall's arrival is especially sweet. 4 years before, on this same leg, he lost his boat when it hit a submerged container. Just before it went down, another skipper rescued him. Despite his last-minute push, Giovanni finishes a disappointing 5th place.
Okay, this leg was very tough for me. Everything was against me, but most of the problem was problem of luck. That's it, huh?
As the weather clears, J.P. Molyneux sails toward Cape Town's Table Mountain, a rainbow escorting him in. He is the first Class II boat to arrive, and he's far ahead of his two main rivals, Mike Garside and Brad Van Loo. Surprisingly, the second-place position changes minute by minute as Mike Garside develops hydraulic problems with his swing keel, and Brad closes in. Finally, the British sailor is able to fix his hydraulic problem by using his cooking oil as a substitute for his lost fluid. He arrives just 2 hours ahead of Brad Van Loo. Still, despite his older boat, the American sailor establishes himself as a serious competitor to Molinet and Garside, which he nicknames the Finot twins after their boat's designer. While they celebrate, the remaining yachts continue toward Cape Town. A new drama is developing. Race officials become aware of a life-threatening situation on Viktor Yazakov's boat. Viktor injured his right elbow during the trip from Russia and further aggravated the injury on leg 1 while repairing his mast during a gale. In Charleston, Viktor and the other skippers received a medical kit and instructions from Dr. Dan Carlin of the World Clinic of Boston. Using global satellite networks and the internet, Dr. Carlin makes virtual house calls to offshore sailors and adventurers.
Viktor asked for medical help, and we put him in touch with Dr. Carlin, and we sent messages back and forth. Viktor and the doctor played the middleman, so to speak.
Dr. Carlin grows concerned as he reads an email from Viktor describing the symptoms. Carlin realizes that the Russian has an abscess on the elbow. If left untreated, the infection will spread. In a few days, gangrene could set in. Surgery is the answer, but Viktor must do it himself. Dr. Carlin types 2 pages of instructions and emails them to Viktor's boat. The Russian receives the instructions, but it's getting dark. No time to waste. He ties the tiller and hopes the boat will sail itself while he is down below. He straps on a miner's headlamp and prepares for surgery. He paints his elbow with iodine. He washes his hands thoroughly with soap and water, using the antiseptic towelettes from his medical kit, and then puts on a pair of rubber gloves. Dr. Carlin tries to imagine the scene. His patient is 1,000 miles from Cape Town in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and must operate on himself without anesthetics. Following the instructions, he takes the scalpel and makes a quick 2-inch cut. Pus and blood gush onto the chart table and cabin floor. Stunned, Viktor fears that he will bleed to death. Thinking like the soldier he once was, he straps a tourniquet around his arm. The bleeding slows, but soon his hand feels numb. He sends a brief email explaining the situation. Then, remembering an old folk remedy for blood loss, he drinks some red wine, eats some chocolate, and passes out. Dr. Carlin doesn't know it, but Viktor has been taking aspirin for days to ease the pain. Aspirin thins the blood and tends to increase bleeding. When Viktor wakes up, he emails that the shock cords have stopped the bleeding, but the arm feels numb and cold. Dr. Carlin orders him to remove the shock cords immediately. Hours pass as Dr. Carlin waits for a response. Finally, the next morning, Viktor taps out a message on his keyboard. I am okay. Exhausted, but okay.
I've been down below for 22 hours of 24 to make the surgery on my right elbow. And the boat had no pilot, no crew, been handling everything
just by itself, and this is remarkable. We had the best day run without any pilot or hand steering, without anybody on the deck. It's amazing.
Viktor Yazikov's bum elbow and the international publicity his surgery generates turns into a godsend. In Cape Town, he learns that a Russian fishing company has agreed to help bankroll the rest of his race. One by one, the remaining skippers arrive in Cape Town, with the exception of Sebastian Riedel, who retired earlier because of equipment problems. George Stricker has sailed a solid race. When Neil Peterson arrives in his native country, he is greeted by his family and throngs of school children. Minoru Sato takes the first step towards completing his third voyage around the world. Robin Davey finishes a frustrating journey in which he loses his rudder and cracks his mast. Followed by Australian Neil Hunter, and finally, Fedor Konyakov, who almost misses the deadline to reach Cape Town and proclaims the race more difficult than his ascent up Mount Everest. With 1/4 of the race over, 15 have passed the first test. Next comes the hard part, the Southern Ocean. Historically, leg 2 of Around Alone has been the most hazardous of all. And on December 5th, the fleet prepares to face it. Imagine the planet is a big blender, and you're making a margarita. Turn the blender on. At the bottom, everything churns and chops and spins the fastest. That is the Southern Ocean. You won't find this sea on most maps. It is a nickname of sorts for the body of water between Antarctica and the southern tips of Australia, Africa, and South America. It is a wild and massive void where the average wave is the size of a 2-story house. Because of the danger, race organizers take great pains to minimize what risks they can. Each boat has several emergency satellite beacons, able to pinpoint a stricken boat's position almost anywhere in the world 200 feet or so. Each yacht is tracked 24 hours, 7 days a week, by a team of 5 people at Race Operations Center in Charleston, South Carolina.
4 times a day, we get a position report. It all comes in on one report, one page from the ComSat Land Earth Station. It's come from the boats and it comes to us and tells us every 6 hours where they are, exactly latitude and longitude, what their current heading is, and what their boat speed is.
The skipper's primary means of communication is a data messaging service. Through a global satellite network system and land Earth stations, the sailors use their computers to send messages and data from even the most remote spots in the world. Although they sail alone and choose their own courses, they do so together as a fleet. This adds another element of safety. If someone gets into trouble, race officials will direct a fellow competitor to assist. This is vital in the remote Southern Ocean. Because they know their lives depend on each other, the skippers forge deep bonds. Bonds that can only be understood by those who share long periods of danger. Each boat must have several watertight compartments to keep it afloat in a capsize or collision. Aside from the mast and keel, one of the most important pieces of equipment aboard is the autopilot, which allows the skipper to sail while sleeping. Race director Mark Schrader competed in the 1986 race and knows the Southern Ocean well.
It's vast, it's unforgiving, it's exhilarating all at the same time. For a sailor, it's someplace you want to be just to see how you do. The waves, in fact, can be mountainous. The wind can be extremely strong. Nothing stops the wind and the waves all the way around the world. Like the albatross, it just keeps going. It is an awesome place. Usually gray, usually cold, usually miserable, but for a sailor, oftentimes exhilarating. Cape Town to New Zealand is 7,100 miles. The shortest sailing distance from Cape Town to New Zealand is a Great Circle route. A Great Circle route, however, would take you into the Antarctic continent, below the Antarctic convergence here, and into the ice. We have put 2 waypoints in this leg to keep the fleet from going too far south and to keep them within range of Australian Defence Force rescue services should a crisis develop.
The docks are a solemn place as the boats are towed to the starting line in the shadow of Cape Town's spectacular Table Mountain. The starting gun fires, and as if on cue, the winds pick up, and the fleet pounds into bigger and bigger waves. Seven of the boats in the race are designed by French naval architect Jean-Marie Finot. These are some of the most unusual wind-driven vessels ever built. Boats designed to all but sail themselves through monstrous seas at speeds of 20 knots or more. They are nicknamed aircraft carriers for their long flat decks and wide beams. The hulls are made of carbon composites and are just a quarter-inch thick in some places. Finot yachts have dominated single-handed races in recent years, and even the 2 veteran British skippers, Josh Hall and Mike Golding, have opted for the French designs. Golding's first-place finish in the first leg has placed him in an ideal position to challenge France's dominance in this race. There is a fierce competition developing in Class 2 between French skipper J.P. Molnier, British skipper Mike Garside, and American Brad Van Leeuw. J.P. is a resident of Newport, Rhode Island, but sailing under his native French flag. Winning Leg 1 has established him as the person to beat. 20 years ago, J.P. made a living by throwing knives at beautiful women. And later, he climbs into the ring as a professional boxer. He's showing the same focus and determination on the water and seems unbeatable.
I'm moving between 14 and 16 knots and sometimes going over 20. But it's going well. I'm tired. I'm really looking forward to get out of the Southern Ocean. It's quite an area here. It's cold. We never see the sun, and it's depressing.
Southern Ocean is a crazy place, man. 20 knots down here is 40 knots somewhere else, and it's unreal. It is cold. It is, I mean, we're talking freezing cold. We got cold water, cold air, cold fingers, cold toes, cold.
Up front in Class 1, Isabelle Autissier, Giovanni Soldini, Mark Thursland, and Mike Golding ride the Southern Ocean roller coaster. Propelled by the 30 to 40 knot prevailing westerlies, they pop off one 300-mile day after another. But as Isabelle heads south toward Antarctica, the disastrous 1994 race is still fresh in her mind and she feels uneasy. Midway between Africa and New Zealand, her Southern Ocean jinx returns. Part of her mast track, which holds the sail to the mast, flies off. Fearing that she won't be able to raise or lower her sails in a storm, she turns north toward Tasmania for repairs. After a 10-hour stopover, she sets off again but is now hundreds of miles behind the leaders and fears that her chances of winning this leg of the race have evaporated. The trouble dampens her holiday spirits. But other skippers take time to celebrate and think of their loved ones in their own unique ways.
So, cheers everyone.
This is our Christmas gift from race administration. Tell me how I look. Gonna be sweet. Huh?
Hello, it's Christmas Day. Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Taking advantage of Isabelle's problem, Giovanni Soldini takes the lead. Isabelle seems hopelessly out of contention. Then her luck changes. A powerful low-pressure system tracking to the north gives her following winds. It is the same storm that will devastate the annual Sydney to Hobart race. Unlike the Around Alone, which has extensive qualifications for boats and sailors alike, the Sydney to Hobart is open to all boats regardless of size or crew experience. Shortly after the Sydney to Hobart race begins, a huge storm catches the racers by surprise and lashes the boats with 90-mile-per-hour gusts and 30-foot seas. A massive rescue effort by the Australian government plucks 55 Sydney to Hobart sailors from the thrashing seas. In all, 6 sailors died. Fortunately, the well-prepared Around Alone sailors are spared the brunt of the storm. If anything, it helps speed the front runners along, including Isabelle, who begins to catch up. Giovanni Soldini, with a commanding lead, celebrates the new year by rounding New Zealand's North Island and setting course for the finish line.
Cicin! Porta fortuna!
On a beautiful sunny afternoon, not far behind Giovanni, Mike Golding, still the overall leader in Class 1, rounds Cape Reinga, the northern tip of New Zealand. A helicopter circles above, taking publicity shots. Suddenly, his yacht slams into a sandbar while speeding along at 17 knots. The entire disaster is recorded on camera.
But he hit something that has caused extensive damage to his swing keel attachment. He's not sure how badly damaged it is, but a lot of water came in the boat. He closed his watertight bulkheads, and that's when he radioed a mayday. He called me shortly thereafter by the sat phone, said he was okay, didn't seem to be taking any more water. It looked bad, and he was going to accept a tow just as soon as he could to the closest safe harbor, and we're now trying to figure out where that is.
It hit hard. I knew at that second, that's when I grabbed the helm, because I grabbed the helm to try and, because I could see more and worse breaking water all of a sudden. So I tried to get out of it, and that's when I got out of it. But it's one of those things, isn't it? It's a bit of a shattered dream, no question about it, because I really think we could have won the race. And now I'm fairly certain we can't.
Despite his first place position before the accident, Mike Golding's race is over. Giovanni is the first to arrive in Auckland. At 3 in the morning, Maori dancers and a large crowd welcome the Italian sailor. The next day, Mark Thursland takes second for the leg. An hour later, Isabella Tessier crosses the finish line for third. With Mike Golding out of the race, Isabel becomes the overall race leader, ahead of Mark Thursland by a slim 5 hours. Despite Giovanni's victory of leg 2, he is still in third position. In Class 2, J.P. Molnier astounds everyone by arriving in Auckland just 12 hours after Isabel. Many miles back, his mates Garside and Van Loo are going nowhere on the windless Tasman Sea.
But I mean, we are talking no wind. Are you looking behind me? Oh my God! Ah!
God. 5 days ago, I had a lead of 500 miles over Brad Van Loo and Balance Bar. We've got 500 miles still to go to get round the north of North Island, New Zealand, and there is no wind. There has been no wind for days.
There's Southern Ocean birds sitting on the water over here. Look at this guy. He's just giving me a flyby just to piss me off. He's doing at least 10 knots on the flyby. Yeah, up yours, buddy. Jeez.
Well, this is an absolute living hell.
I want a cold beer. I want my wife. I want some meat. I want something, my dehydrated food. I mean, wow. I'm ready for something to chew on. A little meat, a little salad, something. Gee.
Wrestling with equipment problems, Class 1 competitor Josh Hall is having a frustrating race. Even though he has one of the fastest boats in the fleet, he arrives 3 days after Class 2 leader J.P. Molnier. Garside's and Van Loo's prayers have been answered, and with a steady breeze, they close in on Auckland. After more than 6,000 miles, they are neck and neck. Then, Garside grabs the advantage at the last moment, beating Van Loo to the line by just 2 minutes. The closest finish in the race's history.
Mike called me when I took in that reef in the passage up here between the islands. And he was such a neck, he like right on my butt. He followed me through every little shortcut that I had planned. And I came like this up on this island, like I was faked them out. And then I just went boom, like right at the end to shoot through. And then like he's like,
Over the next few weeks, the rest of the sailors arrive. 2 skippers, Robin Davey and Fedor Konyakov, are forced to retire after failing to meet a race deadline. They will continue to sail in an unofficial capacity when the next leg starts.
Happy to see you. He was waiting for you actually.
Nice to see you.
Я тоже недавно.
With 5 people out of the race, the fleet is now reduced to 11 sailors. Auckland is called the City of Sails, and on February 6th, hundreds of people gathered to see the skippers off. The third leg takes the fleet into the most isolated patch of ocean on the planet, and then around Cape Horn, the symbolic summit of the race. It's fitting, then, that the starting gun is fired by legendary Kiwi mountaineer Sir Edmund Hillary, the first man to conquer Mount Everest. As they leave Auckland, Isabel and Giovanni burst into the lead, followed closely by Brad Van Leeuw and Josh Hall. No one could have guessed what was waiting over the horizon. After 2 disappointing legs, Josh finally seems to be sailing his boat to its full potential.
Last night, as we were gassing along at around 20 knots, and I was sitting here at the chart table watching all of the instruments, and I needed a little bit of a diversion to ease my anxiety a bit. So I started watching Top Gun on the video, and it really, really helped. So I felt really gung-ho for about 12 hours after that. Here we go again.
Over the past few months, Josh Hall and Brad Van Leeuw have become close friends, shutting down bars during the stopovers. 6 days into leg 3, Brad is the first to hear the bad news about his friend's yacht.
a radio schedule with Josh, and he and I keep a pretty good contact as far as email goes. And I just got an email from him that he lost his mast.
About 5 hours ago we were happily doing 20 knots. Then suddenly there's a big bang, and this is what happened. The mast fell over the side. Looks like it broke just underneath the lower spreader. Pretty devastating, really. Hasn't really sunk in yet, but we're heading towards the Chatham Islands now. Can't believe it, we're out of the race. Again.
Limping toward Chatham Islands under jury rig, Hall's around alone adventure is over. Now there are just 3 Class 1 sailors left: Isabella Tessier, Giovanni Soldini, and Mark Thursland. Deep in the Southern Ocean, they crash through seas of 20 feet or more, powered by winds ranging from 20 to 45 knots. Mark Thursland breaks Giovanni's speed record by sailing 393 miles in one 24-hour period. On February 15th, Race Operations Center in Charleston receives an alert from Isabel's boat. As standard procedure, they call and send messages to Isabel but receive no reply.
When we receive no response, our next move is to look at the situation on which is being displayed to us and decide who are the closest competitors and who are the most able people to go to her assistance.
She is about 1,900 miles west of Cape Horn, as far away from land as a person can get. Too far away for rescue planes and helicopters. Giovanni is 200 miles to the north. Mark Thursland is downwind. They decide Giovanni has the better shot and ask him to divert.
He was sleeping for the first couple of hours, but immediately he saw that the message had come through from race headquarters. He picked up his phone, called us. I explained the situation to him, and he said, "I'll go immediately."
As he blasts through 20-foot waves and stiff headwinds, Giovanni thinks about his lost friend, Andrea Romanelli. He makes a vow to himself: I will not lose another close friend to the sea. He covers the 198 miles in 22 hours and reaches Isabel's last known position at dawn. Suddenly, he spots Isabel's boat in the distance, upside down, the keel sticking up in the sky. He realizes that the boat is finished. But where is Isabel? A life raft trails the yacht, but she's not in it. Giovanni doesn't know whether Isabel is still inside the boat or if she has been washed overboard. He circles her boat 3 times, screaming her name at the top of his lungs. Still no sign of Isabel. Finally, he picks up a hammer and throws it at the hull. Inside, Isabel is in a survival suit, sleeping in a compartment near an escape hatch on the stern. The hammer wakes her up.
And so I hear that noise, I say, okay, what's going on? And I just opened the hatch and Phila was there, and Giovanni was smiling like that, ah! And we decided how to do the thing, but it was quite easy because at that time it was blowing 10 knots and the sea was easy going, so I just jumped in the life raft and he threw me a rope and put me into Phila.
It was great, give us time to drink wine and, just take it easy and said many bullshit.
After dry clothes and a celebratory toast, Giovanni sends a message to race headquarters saying everything is okay. And he is back in the race. Mark Thursland is the first to round Cape Horn, though Giovanni and his passenger are catching up. Then trouble strikes again. Off the coast of Argentina, somewhere's carbon fiber mast snaps in two and impales the cabin roof, missing Thursland's head by a few inches. After several exhausting hours, the resilient sailor erects a jury rig and sails to the Falkland Islands to meet his shore team and step a replacement. Mark Thursland is still in the Falklands when Giovanni and Isabel celebrate their rounding of Cape Horn. After rounding Cape Horn, Giovanni and Isabel settle into their daily routine, and the Italian sailor begins to focus on the race. Race rules allow a second person on the boat as part of a rescue mission, providing that the skipper carries out all necessary duties and decisions. Thus, Isabel becomes a passenger on Giovanni's boat. This gives her time to reflect on her loss. She is grateful to be with someone who knows how the sea can swallow your dreams. Mark Thursland's mishap opens the door for Giovanni, who passes the Falkland Islands while Thursland's boat is still being repaired. A week later, Mark Thursland rejoins the race but loses any chance to catch his rival. On March 3, Phila's illuminated mainsail appears on the horizon like a triangular moon. With Thiercelin's dreams dashed, Giovanni now is in first position, and hundreds of well-wishers, reporters, and television crews are waiting to greet him at the finish line in Punta del Este. His remarkable Southern Ocean Odyssey and the daring rescue of Isabel have turned him into an international celebrity.
I'd like to introduce Giovanni Soldini and Isabella Tissier.
But like most real heroes, Giovanni does not consider himself one, and is clearly embarrassed by all the fuss.
I'm very surprised and very happy to have all these people told me that I'm a big hero and stuff like that, but I really think that this kind of thing is pretty normal at sea, and I really think anybody who is a sailor or just a seaman will do something for somebody who is 200 miles away at 55 south, you know, because it's the only chance he will have to survive. So I really think anybody who was in my position, they will go and do what I did.
I spent 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks on board Phila, and during these 2 weeks, Giovanni was really a perfect guy. He understood exactly what I was going through, because it's pretty difficult to lose your boat, to lose a race, and to lose your hopes. And sometimes the sea has not been very nice for him. He lost a boat, he lost a good friend of him, and he knows what it is, and we spent a lot of time speaking together, and that was really wonderful, because he is not also a wonderful sailor, he's a wonderful guy. And maybe that's the most important. And if only maybe 1% of the planet was like him, I think things could go really better. So the only thing I would like is, right now, for Giovanni, Gentleman of the Sea, but Gentleman of the Life too, I would like a standing ovation, please.
Meanwhile, the rest of the fleet is getting pummeled in the Southern Ocean. A storm sweeps in from the west, a storm more powerful than the one that savaged the Sydney to Hobart race. Mike Garside has had enough.
Looking at that mast and waiting for it to come crashing through the deck sends shivers up my spine.
Brad Van Leeuw wedges himself in a compartment for protection as the storm tosses his boat like a cork.
Hi there. The storm keeps going. It's been more than 24 hours since I took the mainsail down. And still blowing a steady 50, gusting a lot higher. We've gotten knocked down so badly, so many times. It's just absolutely amazing that the mast is there. We got knocked down a couple times. I mean, I thought for sure we were going to roll the boat all the way over. One time, I got thrown out of the other bunk and all the way across the boat. Everything in the boat's all over the place. The boat's an absolute disaster.
After 6 days, the winds subside. Miraculously, Brad's boat escapes relatively unscathed. For a while, though, he remains in shock and is afraid to put up his sails. When he rounds the Horn, he's clearly in a better frame of mind.
This is a milestone. I had no idea that this would be a big landmark in my life. I've never really been all that fired up about Cape Horn as a penultimate moment, the rounding of Cape Horn. But after what I've done to get here and how I felt yesterday, I'm bruised, I'm battered, it took me, psychologically, I was a mess after that storm. I mean, I was bare-poled for 2 days, and it took me forever to commit to putting up a little bit of mainsail because I was just certain that some huge gust of wind was going to come over and just lay me over and roll me up. I mean, it was just really hard. So, cheers. Happy to be here. Big moment. My Kahlua and my coffee. What a treat. Woo! Boy, oh boy.
One by one, the skippers sailed into the festive resort town of Punta del Este, battered and exhausted, but victorious in their matches against the Southern Ocean. French skipper J.P. Molinet once again is the first Class II competitor to make it in, all but sewing up victory in that division. Garside, Van Leeuw, and the others follow.
Do you feel good to be in Punta? Long time.
The small beach town of Punta del Este sits on the southeastern corner of Uruguay, where the South Atlantic and Rio de la Plata meet. It is the French Riviera or Palm Beach of South America. In Punta, dinner starts around 10 o'clock and the bars stay open and full until sunrise. South Americans are well known for their carnivals and celebrations in the month of March. For weeks, thousands of people participate in one of the most colorful and exuberant events anywhere in the world. By the time most of the around alone sailors arrive in Punta, these celebrations are winding down and summer is coming to an end. Even though the skippers must get ready for the next leg, they still make time to socialize at the Punta del Este Yacht Club with local sailors and dignitaries. The skippers who have finished leg 3 have 3/4 of the race behind them and are only one leg away from realizing their dreams. Following an old tradition, sailors who round Cape Horn earn the right to wear a gold earring like the buccaneers of old. The ear-piercing ceremony is often carried out by one of the senior shore crew leaders. To numb the pain and build up their courage, the skippers enjoy a few libations before and after the operations.
Thank you, Doctor.
On April the 6th, in a moderate easterly breeze, the fleet departs for the final stretch back to Charleston, South Carolina. Of the 16 sailors that started the race, 9 remain. Just 2 in Class 1 and 7 in Class 2. For much of the race, Brad Van Leeuw has lived a charmed life and has become a serious contender in Class 2. Now, he vows to win Leg 4. He is right where he wants to be, close to the front, sailing to windward. Under these conditions, he's able to squeeze out every ounce of speed from his older boat. But then, his luck runs out.
It's the 12th of April, and the day after my mast fell down. All of my mast. I mean, everything is gone. I couldn't salvage the boom, couldn't salvage anything. All I could salvage was 2 runner blocks and a main sheet block. Brand new sails, beautiful rig, all gone.
For a moment, he considers quitting the race. But before these thoughts take hold, he receives emails of support from his rivals and phone calls from his family, encouraging him to go on.
It's unbelievable the amount of support the crowd that surrounds this race offers to somebody in a situation like this. I mean, it's unbelievable. JP Moulinier, everything out of the Cray Valley container, boxes that I can use, sails, anything. Even in Phil Lee, Cray Valley Shore Support is waiting for me to get there to see how he can help my shore support, Alan, get something figured out, get me back on the road. I hope there's options available, but they've got to happen so fast. And regardless, my race is over as far as the competitive aspect of wanting to do very well on leg 4. And needless to say, my close, tight race with Mike has come to a conclusion.
He cuts away the broken parts of his mast and builds a jury rig from the salvaged pieces. When Brad arrives back in Punta in the dark of night, crews from several other campaigns scramble to help. With the assistance of the local yacht club and his sponsor, he raises enough money for a new mast. Within 48 hours, a mast is built and trucked 400 miles overland to Punta.
Hey, Phil, do we want the Windex off?
In less than 8 days, Brad is underway again. In some ways, the last leg, dominated by calm winds and sudden tropical storms, is as challenging as the previous legs. Giovanni spends hours at his computer studying weather forecasts. Some parts of the doldrums are expanding, while others are contracting. The narrow parts are like doors. If you find one, you get through quickly. If not, you get stuck for days. Giovanni chooses to head west and finds a door. Mark Thursland goes east, but the door closes and he's trapped. Before the start of this leg, Thursland makes a promise to himself to beat Giovanni on leg 4. But even if he did win this leg, only a major disaster on Giovanni's boat could make him the overall winner of Class 1. In Class 2, JP has an impressive lead over Mike Garside. But on this leg, he has nothing but problems. First, a knee injury slows him down. But worse than that, his mainsail is disintegrating. He spends hours trying to patch it together. But as soon as he stitches it together, a new rip appears. It's a losing battle. But he must try to hold the sail together until he gets to Charleston.
So you are behind by Mike Garsidis, over?
Yeah, that's a Roger. Mike Garside currently is about 200 miles in front of me. I got the 8 days lead on him overall in the race, so I'm pretty safe to win overall, but I really would like to win this last leg, and it's not looking very good right now, about 200 miles behind my gas side, over.
While JP nurses his sail, Mike Garside records a new personal record, 333 miles in a day, and holds on to the lead. It looks like the British sailor will finally beat his French rival on this leg of the race. Just after 1 a.m. on a moonless night off the coast of Charleston, Giovanni Soldini steers toward the finish line. Photographers light up his sail with their flashes, and from a distance, Filo looks like a giant lamp on a black tablecloth. A fleet of spectator boats stream out of the harbor to greet him, their twinkling lights making the water a mirror image of the starry sky. Finally, after more than 27,000 miles, he crosses the finish line. His journey is over. When the cannon sounds, a shooting star burns across the black sky. Someone remarks that Soldini's lost friend, Andrea Romanelli, is watching from above. The spirited Italian has made sailing history. His time at sea, 116 days and 20 hours, is a record. He is the first Italian, indeed the first non-Frenchman, to win the race. The French single-handed sailing dynasty is no more.
You need to understand one thing. You need to be a winner even if you don't win. Otherwise, you put you in a position where first you will never win because your head is not in the right mood, you know. I mean, you can do this kind of race if you enjoy. Every day, every morning, you are happy to be here and to do this kind of thing. You cannot do this thing just to win a race, you know, because you are not in the right spirit, I think.
Mark Thursland, Giovanni's lone remaining Class 1 competitor, is next to cross the finish line a day and a half later. Even though he pushed himself to the limit, he was unable to beat Giovanni on the last leg. A huge crowd of Charlestonians greet him, and his mother gives him a warm embrace. On Thursland's heels is Mike Garside, who finally has the satisfaction of beating his French rival, J.P. Molyneux, in one of the race's 4 legs. He had started the race not particularly fond of sailing, but has grown to relish the challenge. Molyneux clinches Class 2's top honor, despite his shredded mainsail. In his 50-foot boat, he has sailed faster than many 60-footers did a few short years before. A testament to both his sailing skill and advances in boat design.
He deserved to win that one, no question about it. He did a better job than I did. He pissed me off, but he did. There you go, buddy. Yeah, thank you.
Victor Yazikov is exhausted, but triumphant after battling thunderstorms off the coast of South Carolina. The race has been a transforming experience for him. A realization of a childhood dream and an affirmation that all the planning and hard work was worth it. Brad Van Leeuw's early disaster cost him 7 days and knocked him out of contention in leg 4. But he finishes the race buoyed by the knowledge that his fellow skippers and their shore crews made it possible to finish something few have done. Neil Peterson silences critics who said his home-built 40-footer wasn't up to snuff, and sails into the history books as the first black man to complete a solo circumnavigation race.
Neil Peterson, on behalf of
the citizens of your adopted city, and I know for all the citizens of the world, our congratulations to you.
Minoru Sato also makes history, becoming the first Japanese man to sail around the world 3 times. At age 65, he is the oldest man to finish such a race. Indeed, in his long sailing career, he has sailed more than 200,000 miles, a distance equivalent to 8 trips around the planet.
You might not recognize me because I've lost my mustache.
Neil Hunter arrives just hours before the final parties and celebrations begin. With his uniquely cropped beard, he's more than ready to participate in the festivities. He outlasted skippers with million-dollar yachts and proved that the tortoise still has a chance against the hares.
Well, if the one standing memory, if I can narrow it down, is they call this race the Around Alone. Right? It is not in any way, shape or form the Around Alone. It's the Around Not Alone.
Sailing unofficially, Robin Davey and Fedor Konyakov complete their circumnavigation, knowing they were beaten by race rules, not the sea. And so, with the race over, it is time for parties, awards, and reflections. The people of the historic city of Charleston have closely followed this race over the past 8 months, and now it's time to say goodbye. In a final tribute to the sailors, the University of Charleston bestows an honorary doctorate degree on Giovanni Soldini for his victory, and more importantly, his courage in rescuing a fellow sailor. For the first time, he is introduced as Dr. Soldini.
Thank you very, very much. And my mom will be very happy. Finally, after 20 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the awards ceremony for Around Alone 1998-99. I'm Mark Schrader, the race director for Around Alone.
Each of the 16 skippers who left Charleston spent years, even decades, planning and dreaming of doing the race. Nearly half saw their dreams dashed in one way or another.
We are the children of the wind. We were born to sail the 7 seas. The Southern Cross will light the darkness for the children of the wind, for the children born to the wind. There is danger in the wind when you put your soul upon the line, for the ocean waits to try and break you in your battle to survive. Yes, the ocean waits to try and break you, but your dreams will never die.
And of course, the first place overall goes the Perpetual Line Honors Trophy from the Queen's Jewelers in London, inscribed with the names of every finisher of every edition of this race. Giovanni, you've got it for the next 4 years.
And the Southern Cross will shine forever for the children born to the wind.
Alone, They have sailed with the whales and dolphins, sailed with their fears and hopes. They have suffered and triumphed. Indeed, it is when we are alone that the background noise of our thoughts are the loudest. But it is together where we find meaning and belonging. For the skippers, the 1998-99 Around Alone was a chance to dare the mightiest of seas. For the rest of us, it was an 8-month lesson in courage, endurance, and living life moment by moment. A sea story that showed that dreams can be as powerful as an ocean wave.
All alone, I wonder who I am. And the answer, is it waiting in the wind? And the Southern Cross